Okay, I want to show you some things about the Pines card that I recently remembered. First of all, what I want you to do is go to Google and type in Zodiac Killer Pines card and go down here to the pictures. Okay, bring in those pictures of the Pines card, and if you look first at this one, that's the actual card that was used for the Forest Pines at Incline, Lake Tahoe, new condominiums. That was their advertisement card. I think it was a postcard. Notice this bush down here at the base of this tree, because this is where the Zodiac drew in a lot of things. And up here, he drew in a lot of things. He drew in things all over this card in here. So if we back out of this to the screen we were at before, and you look at the different Pines cards, I believe the one that comes in the best is this one right here, the one next to the 13-hole punch card. So we'll bring that one up and we'll start looking. Now you can, depending on the quality of your screen, some of these things you may see and some you may not, but the very first thing I want to bring your attention to, which really stands out, is notice that the tree's not here. This part of the tree is, but where's the rest of it? And the bush is not there. But if you look right there, that's kind of like a giant owl. Now, in the world of satanic worship or whatever, an owl is considered to be a guardian, hence the guardian of the pines. Now remember, I'm showing you things that Frank Morris, the Zodiac Killer, showed me in Mexico City 45 years ago. He put this card in front of me. And by the way, the day he showed me this card, he must have been feeling very fatherly. I was 17. He made me feel very comfortable, like I was talking to family. He really, really wanted me to see all the things that were going on this card, and he wanted me to remember them. I remember at the end of it, he said, "That's probably enough for today because you're not going to remember anymore," and told me to come back tomorrow. And I went home. And I went home thinking that I had a friend. I really didn't realize that at any moment he could turn into Jekyll and Hyde and try to kill me. Look right here. He asked me, "What do you see there?" And I said, "I don't know, it looks like a couple of guys standing in the snow." "Yeah," he said, "snow or sand, whatever." And he goes, "What does it look like they're doing?" I said, "It looks like they're getting ready to jump over that wall." And he goes, "Right, they're going over the wall." And I said, that's kind of funny, because back then, going over the wall was a sort of a euphemism, a statement that meant breaking out of prison. And then he said, "And what do you see here?" And I didn't really get it, but I think that's supposed to be the guards, a couple of guards talking, and they're sneaking over the wall there right next to him. And he said, "What do you see going on in here?" And I looked really closely, and if you look really closely on the internet, you'll see that there's two or three guys standing there facing us, and they are wearing life jackets. And this right here is their homemade raft that they're pumping up with a concertina, and it's unfolding. He asked me what I saw here, and there is obviously a face drawn on that chimney. Okay? Now, if you look closely, I mean, you have to have the original card to see who it is, but that he said was a picture of the guy they left behind. And I go, what do you mean left behind? And he said, remember I told you when we got off that island we had to leave this guy behind because for different reasons he couldn't come with us? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, we put his picture in there. And I go, well, what for? And he goes, just as a memento, a memory, you know. So that he would know that we were thinking about him. And I go, wow. So he's going to actually maybe see this card when he there from the eye. He goes, oh yeah, he's seen it. And he went on to ask some more questions like, what do you see in here? Now this, when you get the right picture, you can see that I think it's right there. There's a guy sitting there with a big old tall Texas hat on. And he said, what does that make you think of? And I go, well, Texas. And he goes, and what have I told you? What story have I told you that had to do with Texas? And I says, well, that about the assassination of President Kennedy. And he goes, right, that's the whole thing. And I go, you mean to tell me that that's the motorcade? And he goes, yep. And he goes, right in there is Jacqueline Kennedy with that big hat, pink hat of hers on. And you know, it's really hard to see the rest of it. I'm not sure if maybe he's down here somewhere filming or whatever. I really need the original card. But anyway, that's what he said that depicted. He asked me, what does this look like? And I said, well, it's kind of big in the back, but that right there looks like a policeman with a policeman hat on. And he goes, that's exactly what it is. And I go, so what's that about? And he says, well, it's about a policeman that I don't remember what the terminology was that he used, but he didn't say he killed him. I think he said he got him. A policeman that I got for writing a ticket. Or writing me a ticket. I don't know if they wrote the ticket to him or whatever, but we all know that the Zodiac Killer basically assassinated a policeman while he was writing a parking ticket. And that's what that depicts right there. Why the big back? I don't know. But if you look closely, you can see what looks like could be feet right here, shoes, and then legs, arms hanging down, maybe holding that book that they write the tickets with. And he may have a pack on his back too. He told me there was things going on in here and in here and in here, but I don't remember what it was down here. Maybe I will remember someday. I remember him asking me what I saw here, and I said, kind of looks like two little white sheep. One thing I want to bring your attention to that he showed me on this card was right there is a joker. There's the face. You can see the two little diabolical eyes. There's his joker hat. The joker kind of a clown collar. He made a big deal about this. He talked about it a lot because he said that was him. That he was a joker, like a wild card. He could be any card he wanted at any time. Not that he wanted, but what he was trying to tell me was he had a split personality, and he could switch from one personality to another without really letting you know. Now, if you look carefully, he's sitting down. There's a girl's head right there against his chest. You can see his arms going around her. She's down on her knees. That's Donna Lass. I think he was in love with her. That's why he's sitting there holding her. And I asked him, why are you facing this way holding this girl and looking the other way? To that, he said, when does a Joker face one way and look the other way? I think he referred to the old Batman series that used to be on TV. And I said, I don't know when. And he says, well, when there's something pretty damn important back there to look at. One more thing I want to show you down here. There is a representation of a seance. You see a person here wearing a hoodie, a person here wearing a hoodie, a person here wearing a hoodie, and another person over here looking on. And I believe you might have a big cone for a hat. There's something like a table in front of them, and they seem to have their hands on it. I think they got a Ouija board going there. They're doing a seance. Now, if you look very carefully, this is very difficult to see. I don't even know if I can see it right now. Right there is a man's face with his head shaved around the edges and crew-cut spiked hair on top. Not sure who that is. He told me something about who it was. I think it might be John Anglin. I just can't remember. But if you notice, the shoulders, the arms, the underarm, there's the dark part, that serves two purposes. One is to be the hoodie of one of the people in the seance. The other is to be this guy's shoulder. That's the way Frank could artistically put things together. The same thing's going on in the other arm. He was an incredible artist. You can see shadow on this guy's face. Sun over here, shadow here. There's a very, very important reason for that being that way. And I think I'm going to tell you later. One thing he did not tell me about, at least I don't remember, is that right there. That is Donna Lass laying with her arms crossed, her face looking to the left, and her feet crossed in the back. And if you look closely, her left foot is crossed over her right foot. And there's something sticking up right here. Now, I don't think he said anything about this, but the next day he started asking me some questions about what did I think was the nicest pose that a girl could be in and where she would look the best. And I told him, well, when they're laying on their stomach on the beach. And he goes, right, well, that's the way we left the girl that I told you about that was in the seance. And I go, what do you mean you left her? And he goes, well, we just left her there that way. And I go, okay, and why? And he said, well, because she was asleep. And I go, okay, and she was like, looked like she was sleeping on the beach. And he said, yeah, except we crossed her feet in the back. And I go, well, if she's asleep, how'd you get them to stay that way? And he said, we stuck a stake down in between them, and there's the stake right there. And I go, didn't she look kind of goofy laying on the beach with a stake stuck between her feet? He goes, no, we came along and piled some sand up against her legs. You know how they do on the beach, and you can pile the sand up and make them lay any way you want. And then we took the stake out. And I go, oh, okay. What he was actually doing was telling me about how she was buried. That's just too much sometimes for me. There's something going on here that I can't figure out. It looks like a king sitting on a throne. It also looks like a gate here. I'm thinking that that's either... I think he might have said that that's St. Peter waiting at the pearly gates, but the gates are closed and no one's going in or out. Because he said no one wants to go there. They all want to go to hell with Satan. I believe that's what he told me. Can't remember clearly.